So in this video we will learn how we can create resizable front panels. We have placed some objects on it and we set them to resize as the front panel changes the size when we move the cursor over to its side, convert it to a resizable handle and move the front panel. So let's go and create a new VI. Let's save the VI. Let's call it creating resizable panels with splitter bars. Let's save it and let's get back to our VI. So let's start off by creating a vertical split in our front panel. On the left side, let's have a area on the left side for our buttons. So let's go and choose a blank button. Let's place it on the left side. Let's rename it to load. Since it does not have a boolean text, let's go to properties, let's turn on show boolean text, lock text in center, we don't need separate text for on or off text, so let's just place the text as load. Let's turn off the label and let's create a copy of this control. So let's create a copy. Let's call it clear. Let's make the label visible, rename it to clear as well. Since we missed the copying part, let's move it up and let's create a new copy. Let's call it load. Label should also be load. Let's remove this too. Let's turn off the label and for the clear button as well. So let's go to the palette and let's get a stop button and clear its label from showing as well. Let's select the buttons, let's align their lefts, let's distribute spaces evenly amongst them to make them look a little neater. So let's fix this splitter bar so that the area on the left is evenly distributed between the lefts and the rights. So let's lock it up so that it doesn't move while the VI is running. Let's set its left span to not show the horizontal scroll bar and the vertical scroll bar as well. So let's go and the pane sizing is fine. So let's go to the right pane turn off its horizontal scroll bar. Let's go to the right pane, turn off its vertical scroll bar. Let's right click and set the pane sizing to scale objects while resizing for the right side. So let's right click, let's go to the modern palette, then layout, and then get a horizontal scroll bar. We would designate this area as, let's say, as a status bar. So let's place a text box. Let's call it status bar. Let's hide its label. Let's resize the lower bar. Or maybe we should move the control up and then move the splitter bar down. Looks fine. So let's right click the control and set it to fit control to pane so that it occupies all the space in the lower portion. So let's go for the upper right pane and place a waveform graph. We don't need its label, so let's turn it off, and the plot legend as well, so let's remove it as well so that the graph is good, nice, square looking. So let's fix let's lock the lower splitter bar and then turn this fit control to pane so that it occupies all the space. Now notice that scale object with pane for graph and the lower string are both turned on. So let's right click the lower splitter bar and let's set it to align with the bottom. Let's test the code front panel, and it seems to be working as desired. The graph and the lower string are resizing with the resizing front panel. So we are done with the designing part. Let's go to the block diagram. Let's clean up the block diagram so that the controls and indicators line up on the left side. Let's place a while loop and an event to handle the events generated by the action the user perform on the buttons. So let's go and add a new event case for the stop button. Value change is fine. So bring the stop button inside and connect its wire to the conditional terminal so that when stop button is pressed, this VI stops. Let's bring in the status bar inside, but before doing that it should have been an indicator, so let's change it to an indicator, bring it inside the loop. Let's widen the loop up, let's move the label to the right side, and let's create a string constant so that when the stop button is pressed, we will display vi stop string in the status bar indicator. So let's create a next event. Add event case. Let's call it load value change. And in this event, we will use the simulate signal express vi. The default settings are fine. Let's click OK. Let's bring in the waveform graph, connect it to the sine. Let's create a constant, and the text would be data generated and plotted to the status bar. Let's bring in the load button. Let's create another event, add event case for the clear value change event. Let's bring the button in. And in this event we would be clearing this graph. So let's create a local variable let's place it outside. Let's move back to the clear event, bring the local inside, and let's create a constant, empty constant array which will just clear the graph. So we are done with the coding part. Let's clean up the diagram. Our main focus was on the front panel resizing ability, which was already created. Let's test the vi, run the vi, press the load button, graph is plotting, text is being displayed. Let's clear it. And now let's test the resizing ability. So the graph and the string are resizing with the panel as we desired and specified. But the buttons on the left side are not, since we had not specified them to resize. So let's stop the VI. And this is how we can create VIs with front panels and its contents that can resize with the resizing of the front panel, and we can use splitter bars to split the front panels and resize.